Hi, everyone. Happy New Year, and welcome back to our monthly Ask the Organizer series. For 2026, we have a new theme. It is Ask the Organizer Mindful Homes and Sustainable Habits. So, this year we're going to be focusing on that, including zero waste. And I have to admit that I don't feel like an expert in this subject area. I feel like I'm going to be learning a lot with you and alongside you and from you. And I'm very excited for this journey this year. And I hope that you are too. I know it can be a little overwhelming to think about changing habits and trying to do things to perhaps save the planet, save money, live more sustainably. It can get really big and overwhelming when we set certain goals, but we're going to break it down into really small, attainable things that we can each do step by step, and we'll just keep building throughout the year. So, my name is Whitney Ziegler. I'm the founder and CEO of Big Rocks Organizing. We are a small, locally owned, based in the Portland metro area. We are women and queer owned, and we assist folks through life transitions, whether that's getting organized to live more sustainably in your own home, preparing for a move to another home, or whether you have lost a loved one and need assistance with an estate clean out in a sustainable way. I'd like to introduce some of our amazing team members to you. We have Karin, who is an assistant professional organizer, and I think kind of a mentor for me in this area of sustainability. They have a lot of great information to share with us and are very passionate about this topic. We also have Jocelyn, Master Recycler Program. Excited to have her with us, and she's an assistant professional organizer with our team. And we have our amazing executive assistant who is running all the Zoom and the technical things, Jean. Thank you so much, Jean, for all that you do as well. So we hope to have a great and a lively discussion tonight. Again, thank you for being here. We acknowledge that we're not the experts in all things, so we want to hear from you questions, resources, ideas, sustainable habits that you have in place or that you want to put in place. Would love to hear about your goals. So, as we dive in, I would love to just hear from folks. What do you think about when you hear the words zero waste, and what does sustainability mean to you?
I'll speak up.
Thanks, Beth.
Zero waste to me means nothing would be going in my garbage can. Um, I'm not even close. It disgusts me how much plastic goes into it, um, but I'm working on it. I say hooray when I buy some meat or chicken or protein product, and the plastic tray is recyclable. So that's not very often, but I look for it and tend to buy when I find a brochure that sells it that way. But um, I have any plastic bags I use aren't plastic anymore. They're all made from corn or something like that. So when they finally, I reuse them, and when they finally get to a place where they need to be disposed of, they go in my green waste because they're compostable. Things like that I'm starting to do too.
Oh, great. May I ask, where did you find these corn bags, Beth?
Um, I bought them from Amazon. I won't be doing that anymore because I'm trying to un-Amazon myself, but um, that's where I found them initially.
Got it. I was just curious. We have on Amazoned ourselves at Big Rocks 2 starting last February. So coming up on a year now. It was definitely a scary, felt like a scary dive off a cliff when we did it, almost like we were cutting off our arm or our leg. But
Mhm.
it's been a beautiful journey because we've gotten to know so many more local suppliers, local businesses, and it feels really great to support them. And it might take a little bit longer to research a product or a supply, but it feels really good to do that. And I think there's only been one or two things that we have not been able to source without Amazon. So, yeah. Karen, did you want to add something? I saw that you came off mute.
Oh, I was yeah, just listening to what other people had to say, but yeah, I think it's wild how much trash we can produce if we're not thinking about it. And I know that yeah, like you said, there's still areas where we're all working on it, and I think food is this area for me that is the hardest because I don't want to have to think about what I'm cooking and what I'm consuming. So that's yeah, that's something I'm excited to get better at.
That's really interesting. Thank you. Would it be okay to ask you a few follow-up questions?
Yeah.
You mentioned you don't want to think about what you're cooking. That could be interpreted in different ways. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, I guess I just don't put a lot of energy into like meal planning and cooking. I kind of tend towards the like microwave and like easy meal type things. And often those are ones that like come in more packaging. So, you know, when I'm really on top of it, I'll be doing more like of the chopping and the buying in bulk and the, you know, farmers market style stuff, but often um, I end up with, yeah, like just pasta that comes in a bag and you put it in the frying pan and has the sauce in it. It's all ready to go. Um, which is convenient, but it's not, it's like, it can be more wasteful, certainly, depending on how, how it's packaged.
Absolutely. It's great that you're so mindful of that already. And I think that's a wonderful intention to set for this year. And I'll share mine later as we examine pictures of my trash. I'm actually going to show you all photos of my garbage. So talk about vulnerability and authenticity. There you go. I'm curious, what does zero waste mean for others? And do you have specific goals or intentions around sustainability for this year?
Well, for me, it's trying not to buy stuff in the first place. I'm trying to clear off a lot of stuff and find, with your help, find really good places for it. So when I do buy things like food, I think, is this going to be able to be put in the Ridwell containers to um, so that it doesn't go in the trash, which I found that they take a lot of stuff. Um, but even more than that, is there a way to not buy the plastic in the first place? You know, like getting the plastic, I mean, the paper mushroom bags, you can put all kinds of vegetables and as well as mushrooms into those things rather than getting a plastic bag. Although I know that the dog walkers in my neighborhood like having the grocery store plastic, not the big ones, but the vegetable container plastic bags are good for poop containers. So it's, you know, I'm grateful for being retired, so I have more time to do things like walking to various places to do stuff. But to me, it's more about let's not buy it in the first place. And then maybe if we all did that, it'd be less this, that, and the other.
Really good points, Amanda. Um, yeah, pet waste as a pet parent is something that's definitely on my list of things to educate myself about better, to see if there are more sustainable ways that I could process that waste or handle that waste. I'm curious, for those of us who aren't familiar with Ridwell, would you be comfortable explaining more about it?
Yeah, I am a fairly recent convert, actually, after I had Big Rocks come out and help me with stuff. There's all kinds of things that they take into, especially plastics, that you can't put in any other recycling. So grocery bags, frozen food bags, Ziploc bags, styrofoam, if you have, you can add on. What else? I've just put my latest load out. Oh, flat plastic lids from tubs, because the tub can go in the recycling bins at the curbside, but the lids can't. They take bottle caps. They have all kinds of every so often every pickup they have a new category of stuff that they'll take. So next month next pickup is holiday lights. I think we've all just discovered which of our lights are not working anymore. So they take those, and I took some lights previously to a place called Bob's Metals in North Portland. They take household appliances like vacuum cleaners that don't work and stuff like that. But they also take holiday lights and anything with wiring inside, which I found helpful. But it's going to be even nicer to just stick it out by the curbside with well. I'm curious, Whitney, do you have cats or dogs?
I have three big dogs and one cat.
Are you familiar with the Sweet Scoop or America's Best Cat Litter?
No, I'm going to write this down.
It's flushable, at least in Oregon, it's flushable. And it's made out of corn, so it's easier on paws than the clay stuff.
So that was the Sweet Scoop. What was the second one, Amanda?
Or another one is the same kind of product is called America's Best Cat Litter.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
both made out of waste from corn processing. So again, they're using stuff that would normally go into the landfill or maybe into the compost. But yeah, I've been using it for a decade or more, and it's never plugged up the plumbing, as they say.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I'll check that out. That would be wonderful. Karin, thank you so much for putting Bob's Metals, a link in the chat. What we'll do too is after tonight, any resources that are mentioned, we'll put together in one email. So don't feel like you have to frantically capture everything or save the chat. We'll send it out to everybody within the next week. So, and thanks for Bob's Metals. That was a new resource for me as well. We do have SBC Recycle on the west side in Aloha. They do take appliances. I know Metro also takes holiday lights for folks who might not have Ridwell. It's in, I think, Washington County and Clackamas County. Unfortunately, Ridwell is no longer allowed to do the curbside pickups. And we used to have pop-ups twice a month, and now those are no longer as well. So it's just a mail-in service only. So they only take certain things like the number 4 plastic bags, multi-layer plastics, which is amazing. They're the only company that I know of that takes multi-layer plastics, like granola wrappers, potato chip bags, the crinkly plastics. Um, and you can mail those in. I think it's about $15 for 3 pounds. So it's a bit costly, but I do feel better not putting it in the landfill. But I'm trying to just buy less of it from the get-go. Yeah. How about others? I'm curious what zero waste means for you and if you have any specific intentions around sustainability for 2026. Well, that's okay if folks are feeling tired or shy. I know we've got this really yucky gray weather going on, and it's it's that time of year where things get a little rough in the Pacific Northwest with the seasonal affective disorder and energy levels and things like that. Um, How about the benefits of adopting a zero waste lifestyle? What benefits do you all see in it? Curious, what brought you here tonight? We have an amazing blog writer, Andrea Thompson, who is retired from our team, and she had a career before organizing for 40 years in advertising in New York City. And she's a fabulous and a funny writer, and you've probably been enjoying her blogs for the last couple years. And she wrote a really funny one this month about introduction to zero waste and what some of the benefits are. And then we're doing a January challenge of analyzing your trash and your garbage. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But some of the things that she highlighted as far as benefits of zero waste, or and some things you've already mentioned are, using fewer plastics and chemicals, saving money, of course. Our homes will be cleaner and less cluttered. Our lives can be simplified, which is very appealing. And she says, most importantly, we'll be doing something real to protect the planet and to the future that we're building together. I'm curious, what other benefits can you think of that maybe weren't shared in our blog?
I think about me personally, and
Uh-huh.
I'm not bringing plastic, especially food, into my home in plastic. I'm consuming less plastic.
That's really great, Beth. I aspire to that.
I think the price thing is a big one for me. I just don't end up having to spend as much money on things. I tend to be, I'm on the like buy secondhand or buy or don't buy side of the low zero waste, which doesn't necessarily mean that things don't come in plastic, but that they just, uh, that I'm getting them from like swaps or free boxes on the side of the road or estate sales or like things that were otherwise going to go in the trash or came out of the trash. Um, but I think that, yeah, like all the ingredients and plastics and like chemicals that are in the stuff that we use can be a little scary. And like we don't know what the effects of all of that are quite yet. So it's nice to not have to be quite so worried about that. And I think it's really easy to get kind of caught up in the do I need like the latest, greatest things? And is everything I own like beautiful and trendy? And like having this mindset of like, I don't want to be wasteful is makes it a lot easier not to have to think about like whether I have the best, nicest, new, trendy water bottle or something because I have a water bottle and it works and I love it and I don't need another one. Um, so I think, yeah, like you mentioned, like kind of simplifying, and I think that makes a really big difference for me when I'm making decisions about what I need or what I want.
That's a really good point. Need versus want. And how many of us stop and ask ourselves before making a purchase? That's been one of the blessings of cutting the cord with Amazon too, is that it does take a little bit more thought and intention and legwork. And so it's really gotten me to just pause and reflect.
Yeah, when it's not as easy to immediately get things, sometimes it's like, well, by the time I find the thing I need in the way that I'm want to buy it or get it, like maybe I don't need it anymore. And that, or I found a different solution, which is really nice too.
It is, yeah, it's nice to get creative like that. I've given myself a 24-hour moratorium, especially before making any big purchases, that I won't just click. Yeah. Jocelyn, did you want to add anything to the benefits of a zero waste lifestyle or any sustainability goals you're working on this year?
Well, I'm not always the best person to talk about acquiring because my family has had issues over the years about collecting stuff. So it's really difficult to not acquire something and only purchase what you need. But I think in terms of really stepping back and looking at what you need, Amazon has become the death of us. When I walk our dogs in the neighborhood, I look, I spot check recycle bins. And I picked up a strand of holiday lights this week. Sorry, Whitney. But people don't even think about what they're putting in the recycling bin. And I was reviewing a presentation by Metro um, from the Master Recycler class in 2025, and 61.9% of the recycle bin is cardboard. AKA, I would say a lot of mail order delivery, Amazon, 19.5% mixed paper, 12.6 plastic, and 2% metals. So they actually did an evaluation on what was in the recycle bin. But wait, there's more. There's always the feeling that people feel good about recycling. They're not thinking about the long-term life cycle of a product from start to finish. But when they throw it in the recycle bin, they feel good because, hey, I'm recycling. Well, part of that mix, they found out that there was a lot of unacceptable items, and we know how difficult it is right now to get rid of these items. I mean, a lot of people aren't willing to go that extra mile like Ridwell or James recycling events or some of the other items I heard earlier. But some of the non-acceptable items were 2% plastic film and shopping bags. Now, why do we have to throw our trash and even our paper recycling in plastic bags? 1% was food and yard debris. Another 1% was fabric and shoes. 4% was other. 3% was paper. Um, so probably 14% contamination in our recycle bins. And that's because, again, people don't take the time, and the rules are changing. I get it, but people don't take the time to understand what can go and what was acceptable in the recycle bins. So that kind of gives you an idea. And that's not even going back talking about why they're buying these items in the first place. Heck, you just have to go to Fred Meyer and look in the beauty products or laundry aisle, and what do you see? Just rows and rows of plastic. Gone are the, I think, cardboard paper boxes of Tide detergent. So it's hard to get away from that, but getting back to being really cognizant of what you're buying, it's not recycling that's the solution. It's what you purchase, because again, there's a life cycle in that purchase. And I could go on, and I don't want to take up too much time, but that kind of gives you an idea. For those folks that are recycling, that's what's going in your bins. But if we stop and think about, do we need it? How is that product packaged and delivered? Amazon, fuel costs, cardboard, that's where we need to start.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that, Justin. Knowing what's in the bins and yes, thinking about the life cycle of a product. My understanding is that the most energy is in producing and creating that product. So if we think about it kind of from the very get-go, from the beginning of the cycle, it sounds like we could have a bigger impact than recycling, which is quite a bit downstream.
I think there are a lot of instances like that where we sort of have this idea of what happens after, or like how something got to us, and we think, oh, I'm making the best like low waste choice, but there's all these different aspects that, even though it can be really overwhelming, are important to think about. Like, yes, I can donate my clothes, but a lot of those are still going in the trash or like a big amount of what gets donated still goes in the trash or goes overseas in this sort of unsustainable and damaging secondhand market in other countries. And like the it's great to have things online because then we don't have the paper, but at the same time, like, server farms and like the cloud is one of the biggest energy sucks of all, and like the amount of water that's used to cool the servers of AI is like massive. And there's all these things that, even though maybe the way that I'm encountering it in my house, like there's not as much trash, there's still all this big energy, or like what happens after it, that it's a lot to think about. But it's helpful to like know more about those things, and then it does. I think for me, it really encourages me to start sooner in the process of like, do I need this? Where did it come from? What am I going to do with it when I don't need it anymore, potentially?
All very good points. Thank you, Karin. Anybody else have thoughts about zero waste, or I'm curious if there's a specific aspect of sustainability that brought you here tonight?
I have a question.
Hmm.
I have talking about textiles in a different sense than clothing. Just all of a sudden, I had a bunch of hand towels that got to the point where they were getting thin, getting ragged, needed to be replaced. And so I've got now all these textiles that wouldn't be appropriate to put in Goodwill or to, like, there's a church I do donations to that take towels because they're supporting families that are getting back on their feet in their household. But I don't know what to do with them because for rags, I have way too much that I'll ever use now, and I don't know what to do with them.
So I'll interject here. I read a good article and I'm going to have to think about it and maybe share that later on what to do with old towels. And, uh, everything from what you mentioned, rags, but also donating to um, your local animal shelters or your vet clinics because they always use old towels.
Yeah, but these are small hand towels. I know that about the larger ones.
Right. Well, they'll take them. And then there's also, there are some bins that accept textiles so that they repurpose them or break down the fibers.
Hmm.
And then, depending upon how you're crafty, they even suggested tearing strips and weaving into rugs. So, I mean, it gets to the point where I always think of my parents during the Depression. They used everything. They didn't throw anything away. But there comes a point where you just throw up your hands and say, what am I going to do with this? And I think if you follow all those steps, those avenues, donating them to shelters and making rags and putting them into bins that will recycle the fabric are all possibilities. But most people aren't going to take those steps. They're just going to toss it in the trash. So,
So where would a bin be that take fabric or
What part of town are you in, Beth?
well, currently, until my house sells, I'm in southeast Portland, near almost in Gresham.
Okay, I know there are some typically in grocery store parking lots. Like I've seen one at the Raleigh Hills New Seasons. They kind of changed and like came down and popped up in different places during COVID. I've also seen them in Safeway parking lots if you have one near you. Um,
Close to-
Ridwell recycles textiles. They call them threads.
Yeah, but I've never known where you mean if I had a Ridwell box, they do, or
They do, but also what our team does, especially with large estate cleanouts, when we have large amounts of textiles that are not in good enough shape to donate, we put them in clear bags and write textile recycling on them and donate them to Goodwill. And they process and recycle so many pounds of textiles. So that could be an option for you as well, and it's free.
so in a clear bag.
I
A
mean, you
cl-
could put it in any receptacle, but I label it as textile recycling so that they don't spend time looking at every towel to see if it's in good shape. I do the same with e-waste. They also are certified e-waste recycler. So if I have any electronics that don't work, I will clearly label them as e-waste so that the staff at Goodwill, again, don't spend time testing the electronics or anything like that. So I hope that's a helpful resource. Yeah. Connie?
I spent some time with some quilters this afternoon, and they mentioned that Mills End takes those. Mills
What?
Craft,
Mills End Fabric Store?
yeah, that they have a bucket or a basket, or the one on Selwood, I think they talked about. I was just overhearing the conversation
Yeah, no,
with
thanks
some
for
quilters.
that's
So I
great.
can't verify it, but that was the conversation from the quilters.
Okay.
I just Googled it for my own edification. And again, we know about James Recycling in Ridwell, but there's a company, and I just typed in, where can I recycle textiles in Portland, Oregon? And there's a pickup service called Just Porch It,
Yes.
offers free doorstep pickup for bag textiles, clothing, towels, and bedding. There's also Reclaim It in Northeast. And all of this has the disclaimer, no wet or moldy. So, and Goodwill and Salvation Army also recycle items, even though they may not be able to sell them. So we do, again, have a few resources, but my bottom line is a lot of people aren't going to do that. So education, education, education.
I think though that even if it seems daunting, if each of us does one small thing, it all adds up. You know, Juanita shared earlier in the chat, thank you for sharing, Juanita, that she bought some metal water bottles to replace plastic biking bottles so that they're not consuming microplastics as they're cycling. So, you know, even one small change. And then those metal bottles, I'm assuming, are going to last a lot longer than the plastic ones and just be healthier for the environment. Probably a lot easier to recycle at the end of their lifespan. Amanda?
Um, so the Salvation, I'm a part of the Salvation Army network, and they don't have any thrift stores anymore, so they don't. That's not a good source. So don't try looking for them because they don't have any in the Portland area in Oregon anymore. Also, I was mistaken. It's world's best, not just America's best cat litter. It's world's best.
It's a very modest name. I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that. And it is sad about the Salvation Army drop-off locations disappearing from Oregon.
And Brittany, this is Kathy Poets Chat.
Hi, Kat.
I was requested by a friend to, if I had any old towels, or if I was at garage sales and they had used towels that he was collecting them for an animal shelter that uses them to clean up the dogs, cats, and such. And that's what I did. And I actually uh, saw some at a sale that were, really almost rags. And I said, I'm collecting these to give to my friend who uses them at a shelter facility for animals. And they just gave them to me. So I gave him some of my own towels, uh, things like that. And some on the liquid detergent and other cleaning products, and food products. Are there still places that sell you the product that you can put in your own containers? Are there still those? Because that way you don't have to buy the plastic laundry detergents, or food products that are bulk, like at Winco has the bulk places that you can. Of course, they have plastic bags, but you could bring your own your own container to get that too.
Absolutely. Kathy, just one question about the towels really quick before we talk about bulk buying. Were any of them hand towel size? Beth was concerned that the animal shelters wouldn't take smaller towels.
I don't know if that was appropriate, but I would think hand towels, I don't know about, I think any of them, hand towels, washcloths, any of that type of fabric that's absorbent. Um, and I'm sorry, I don't know the specific place where he was using them.
Oh, that's okay. I think many animal shelters will take them. And then you asked about other bulk stores besides Winco. I know New Seasons offers products in bulk too. And Lindsay put in the chat a store called Simpson's Refill. Lindsay, I don't know if you feel comfortable coming off mute and maybe telling us a little bit more about that.
Simpson's Refill does a lot of like cleaning solution type things. So they have dish soap, laundry soap. They also just have a lot of like alternatives to plastic. So if you do want to load up on standard cleaning supplies, you can bring your own container. They have containers there available too. But I really like them. They're in Northeast, near Sandy, not far from like 205 and 84.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Our topic actually for February is going to be how and where to shop. So our team members are going to go to some local bulk and refill stores and zero waste stores, and we'll do some short videos and take some pictures so that we can report back next month. So we'll definitely check it out. So thank you for that tip. Appreciate it. And then Sue is sharing about cat litter in the chat and writes, I use cat litter made from walnut shells. The best cat litter, Sue writes, is made of corn, so more has to be grown unless it's a byproduct of the corn industry. Did I get that right, Sue? And I think the one that Amanda shared is made from corn, the flushable one.
Yes, it is. I checked on Chewy the contents. And
Okay.
the one with corn, the walnut, it's a walnut shell byproduct. I'm selling walnuts and selling the walnuts. So I feel good about that.
Absolutely.
My understanding is that mine is made from the husks of the corn, which is not meaning more would be grown. I'll go check the bag.
Oh, thank you for that. I know we grow corn in our garden, definitely not enough to make cat litter out of, but one of our neighbors requests the stalks and the husks every year and uses them to make tamales. So kind of neighborhood recycling, which is fun. Yeah, Sue says cool. Well, I would love to show you all pictures of my trash if you're interested. But first, Beth writes in the chat, laundry detergent can be a simple sheet of detergent and comes in a compostable envelope. Awesome, Beth. Have you used these yourself? It's something that I've been considering.
There are several different brands. Couple of benefits of it is that some of the icky chemicals they put in those liquids aren't in them. So that's an advantage. So it's not polluting while you're doing your um, laundry. There's one thing, and I'd have to go look at the box, but there are several different brands, and you need to make sure it has a certain ingredient in it so that they clean really well, because some of them don't. But I can go look on the ingredients to tell you which. And I, in my process of trying to on Amazon myself, I discovered a couple of weeks ago that Trader Joe's carries them, and it it looks like under a Trader Joe's label or something similar to that, and it has everything in it, the sheets do, that need to be a sufficient detergent. So that's where I'm going to start buying them instead of the brand I'm buying.
Thank you for that. We had a question in the chat. Are they unscented?
That's an option. They all of them have different fragrances or unscented because I can't tolerate so.
Ditto. From Mari in the chat, Beekman 1802 clean laundry soap. Mari uses about a tablespoon per load. So one bag lasts a long time and it cleans very well. Thank you so much for that, sharing that, Mari. And then Sue says, bravo to un-Amazoning yourself. That is, it's very ambitious and but fulfilling as we found at Big Rocks as well. Maybe we'll write a blog about that. I don't think Amazon will like it, but it could be helpful to others who want to do the same. And now, Jean, if you wouldn't mind bringing up my trash slideshow, thank you. So this is our January challenge, and you can take it up or not, but this is so our team last year, sorry, I'm kind of coming in and out. We read this book together. We have a Big Rocks book club, and it's called Zero Waste by an author named Shia Su. And we bought used copies of this book and read it together. So she has the first challenge. So we thought we'd challenge you for the month of January to analyze your trash. So just for a week, pay attention to what you're throwing away. And when you go grocery shopping, take pictures of what you buy. I think it just makes us really mindful of what's coming in and going out of our homes. So, in honor of this challenge, I decided to make myself vulnerable and be very authentic with you and very real. And I took pictures of my trash earlier today. So here we go. Jean, can we see the next slide? All right. So one thing I realized was that we have a lot of trash cans in our house. We have about 8. So here's the powder room, and it's primarily tissues and dog hair. As I said, we have 3 big dogs, so we are constantly sweeping and picking up little tundras. I call them like little sage weeds or of tumbleweeds of dog hair. So one thing that I really want to do, a goal I want to set for myself is switching from tissues, the disposable tissues, to using handkerchiefs. I have had a bit of I think like a mental block against it. Like it feels kind of unhygienic. But then when I think about how many generations of people used handkerchiefs and how recent disposable tissues are, and I haven't even had a chance to dive in and find out where do my tissues come from? How many trees do they cut down to produce these? What impact is it having on the country they're produced in or where they're produced? I think about all of these things and I think, okay, my experiment, my challenge that I want you all to hold me accountable for when we come back next month is ask me if I've gotten some handkerchiefs, preferably secondhand. Karin said I could get great handkerchiefs at estate sales. Ask me about it if I have purchased them and started using them. So that's the powder room. Any questions or comments here? All right, next one, Jean. I'm sorry, Connie. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think, I live in a senior retirement community, and one of our biggest problems are adult diapers or feminine pads of all kinds. And, I don't think it's surprising to know that over 1/3 of the diapers sold are for people over 50 in the United States. So I think that's an issue, a problem. I know you can get things that dispose, that decompose, but you also don't. They need to be effective before they start decomposing while you're wearing them. So that's what, any suggestions or ideas?
Not off the top of my head. We are going to have a whole month that we're dedicating to bathroom products and hygiene, including periods, adult incontinence, babies, all of those things. So we'll definitely be doing some research and doing a deep dive into that coming up. But if anybody here tonight has any solutions or any ideas right now, please share. And thank you for dropping things in the chat. And Sue gets a gold star, has not used Amazon for 10 plus years. And then Amanda's going to try or check out the walnut shell calendar. That's great. We learned from each other. So this is the laundry room. We've got lint, which I should likely be composting. But I'm a little bit concerned that, we have some fleece and other things that have microplastics in them. So I'm thinking, okay, then should we compost that? So I think I have some research to do. You'll also notice some dryer sheets in here. I'm working through the last of our dryer sheets. I purchased some rubber dryer balls. We used to have the lamb's wool ones too, and they kind of went missing. I think they got lost or are stuck in the sheets or something like that. They disappeared over time. Maybe they went down the dryer vent or something. Um, Anyone else have ideas about zero waste in the laundry room? And we'll go kind of room by room throughout the year, but just kind of noticing things about my trash here.
Yes, this is Kathy. I'm wondering, do you line all of your trash bins, 8 of them, with the plastic bags?
Right now, we do, except for one is in a paper bag. I don't throw away the plastic liner each time. I kind of dump it into the kitchen trash bag. But it would be nice to get away from plastic bags for sure. That's a really good observation. And Sue writes you can use clean tennis balls as dryer balls. That is really great and economical, Sue. Thank you. Jean, next slide. This is the garage. Again, tissues, paper towels. We do have reusable paper. I started using about a year ago, but like for the really dirty stuff, I'm still hesitant to use those and wash them. I kind of keep them more for like kitchen use. And of course, you'll see the ever-present dog hair.
I have a comment about the garbage bags.
Yeah, go
I
for it.
bought the compostable garbage bags. And plus I have the small 3-gallon compostable bags for my kitchen waste. And I have a couple of my garbage cans or in the house that are small enough that that's what I use. And then I have some bags or some baskets that are lined with a plastic bag that I don't throw out. I dump into my kitchen bag is a compostable bag. So everything goes into that before it goes out.
Nice. That is great. I'm curious though, and maybe Jocelyn could speak to this now or at a future month, we're going to talk specifically about our trash and where it goes and how it's processed. Um, Sorry, another note. Amanda says BioClean laundry soap comes in a box as powder. That's good to know. And thank you for coming, Connie. Really appreciate it. I'm just curious if the compostable bags are truly compostable because Jocelyn once shared some slides of the composting area out in North Plains, and the bags like didn't break down with the composting and the yard debris. Yeah, Amanda?
Yeah, it's not. They actually don't compost because you need temperatures of over 140 degrees to make them actually compostable. So you can't, in the Portland area, you can't put them in the compost.
Okay, that's good to know. Um, That's interesting. Also, the compostable silverware that they sell, things like that. I wonder if that actually does. Yeah,
It,
same
no.
thing.
Sometimes mine are composting before I even get them out of the house. I mean, they're coming apart and before I even get them out to the garbage. So I would argue with that.
Okay. We'll do some more research and come back and address that next time.
I think, Whitney, it depends on the brand. And if there's a certain chemical that I can't think of right now, if it's part of the bag, it won't compost.
Okay. That's good to know. But we'll do some more research and come back and clarify next time. Jean, next slide. And we won't look at all my trash due to lack of time, but Mari says, I think bags may be something because Mari had one in the car and suddenly had little pieces everywhere. So maybe it was the kind, maybe it does depend on the brand. Um, Things I'm noticing about the bathroom, we do have the hygiene products, and I notice that, whenever you use a sanitary pad, it's got the plastic thing that you peel off the sticky part, which is not recyclable or compostable. So there are things like that. I know somebody said that they cut up rags and use those and just wash them in really hot water. So that's something to think about. You'll notice here we've got some deodorant containers. Unfortunately, I don't believe those are recyclable, but if anybody here knows better, let me know and I'll go fish them out of the trash. Amanda?
On the issue of decomposing plastic bags, I had a bag of grocery bags, which are definitely not compostable, that I had forgotten about and left for about 10 years in my house. When I came to sort it out, literally one of them disintegrated into a million different pieces, and I'm still picking them up. So I think I will appreciate you looking into that issue because, when I saw a presentation on recycling once that the person at the Bureau of Planning said, don't do wishful recycling or hopeful recycling. Like, I hope this goes in the recycling because that's actually worse than throwing it in trash if you contaminate things.
Yes, I think they call it wish cycling.
There you go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when in doubt, throw it out, which is unfortunate, but yeah, we don't want to contaminate the recyclability of the entire load for sure. I'll just show you a few more pictures of my trash and then we'll wrap up with the challenge and talking about next month. Jean, next slide. Litter box, we talked about the cat litter. Sue buys new flannel, cuts them into the size that works for pads, and then washes them in hot water. That is awesome, Sue. Thank you for sharing that. I'm wondering though, like how do you attach them to your undergarments, or do they stay in place? If that's TMI, it's okay. You don't have to talk about it. Are you able to come off mute, Sue? You might not be, and that's okay, or you might not feel comfortable.
The answer is I don't mind in the least. I don't care what anybody thinks anymore. It's very liberating. They are big enough, and I fold them in such a way that they are about 6 inches wide, so they hang over both sides of the middle part of the underwear. I don't know what one would call that, and they work fantastically.
Okay, awesome. I think I'm going to add that to my list of intentions for zero waste for this year, like getting rid of the disposable tissues and some of the
Oh,
sanitary
and
products.
about the handkerchiefs, the older handkerchiefs are much softer, so used handkerchiefs are the way to go because you're not going
Okay.
to get anything softer than that.
Are they cotton or what are they made from?
They're usually made of cotton, the
Okay.
old ones.
Okay, I'll look for some old ones.
The newer ones usually have polyester in them.
And if
Okay.
you look for the men's older cotton,
Yeah.
they are so soft, they're great.
All right, I'll let y'all know what I find. This is our kitchen trash. So, yeah. No comments here, except that you will see part of an egg container that's made out of cardboard. And I wondered if I could recycle it because it had this huge sticker across the top, and I couldn't easily get the sticker off of the cardboard. So I couldn't put it in our backyard compost, and I wasn't sure if I could recycle it with that giant sticker. Does anybody know? I'd have to research that one as well. Jean, next one. So this is our bin. It's the smaller size, although it might be hard to tell from this angle, but we have it picked up about once a month. I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but some garbage companies, we have Waste Management, they offer will call service. So you don't have to have your garbage can picked up every month. And as long as we don't do it more than twice a month, it's more affordable than if we were to have the weekly service. So we do it about once a month. My goal is to try to cut that in half and be every 2 months and then once a quarter and just try to work our way down. I don't know if we'll get to zero waste one day or, have things that just fit in one jar for the whole year, but we'll try. And I just wanted to let you know about the will call option. There's also sharing garbage service. So my mom, Sharon, who's on this call, she shares a garbage can and recycling and yard debris with her neighbor across the street, and they split the bill. So that's something too that can help with affordability because getting rid of garbage is not it's not cheap, and it feels like the garbage bills the cost keeps going up and up and up. Jean, real quick, we'll go to the next slide. So showing you a little bit of recycling. This is some of our mixed curbside recycling. Next. My number 5 plastics, my multi-layer plastics for Ridwell, and then we've got the number 1 clear clamshells and the clear grocery bags, which we take to New Seasons. They offer free recycling and they have the bins out front of all of the stores in the Portland metro area, just in case you weren't aware. And Sue says, for kitchen trash, Sue uses the large bags from frozen fruit and vegetables to put most things in. Well, okay, there you go. Yeah, it's good I use a lot of those like for cat litter and things like that. But next slide. Okay, that's it for the slideshow. Any
So,
questions or
yeah,
comments or announcements? Yeah, Jocelyn?
Whitney, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but again, my parents grew up in the Depression. And I grew up before plastic bags. Remember The Graduate when that fellow tells Dustin Hoffman what the future is going to be and he says plastic. He whispers it, but I get a lot of paper bags. It's hard to kind of see. I don't know. I'm going in and out, I guess. So, for bathroom trash as well as kitchen trash, if you're composting, you shouldn't have a lot of wet stuff. And if you do, so if you just fold, it's not really showing, is it?
No,
There. Is that better? There.
sorry, it's a little going in and out. There you go.
Well, you fold the bag over and then it stands up, and that's a trash bag for your bathroom and whatnot. And I realize sometimes you have some wet items, but if you kind of couch it in other things, when you do have trash. But we grew up, we had the nicest trash in the neighborhood. My dad would prepare the trash once a week for the trashmen.
Well,
So
we'll
we
dive
didn't
into
use plastic. We never used plastic. And we have so many paper bags. And again, when I walk the neighborhood, I see all of the takeout bags or grocery bags that are paper people recycle. And why aren't they using those to collect their garbage instead of plastic bags? So
That is a good point. We do have to end here though, but we will have a month, I think November, that's going to be all about trash. Thank you everybody for being here tonight and for helping us kick off our 2026 Ask the Organizer series, Mindful Homes and Sustainable Habits. I'm really excited to be on this zero waste adventure with you this year. So next month in February, if you decide to take up the challenge, please come back and tell us how it went with analyzing your trash for a week and what you're buying, especially at the grocery store. And then next month in February, we're going to talk about how and where to shop. So if you have any great sources for bulk items or items with less packaging or no packaging, like please come and share. These products that you shared tonight are really great, and we'll send them out in the email next week. And our next one is going to be on Wednesday, February 4th from 5 to 6 p.m. and right back here on Zoom. Thank you everyone for coming, for sharing resources and information and your experience. I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.